Hi there. Ooh, happy Tuesday. Sort myself out before we start. Lovely outfit, by the way, but kind of not the right thing to wear when you're doing housework. Anyway, end of. What this is about was I tried to join a group on Facebook which was called #MeetTheMaker. But unfortunately you had to post everything onto Instagram. And my Instagram is misbehaving. I've got it on my tablet and it just is not connecting to my Wi-Fi. I don't know what's wrong with it. So I kind of gave up. So I thought I would do my version of Meet the Maker, which is going to be on the video. I mean, most of you know this information, so if I bore you, I'm sorry, just turn off. Anyway, it's a tag, you see, called Meet the Maker. And the day one was supposed to be the intro. So the intro is, I'm Jan. I am, where's it gone? Urban Gypsy Crochet on Facebook, and I've got an Etsy shop with the same name. I live in Manchester in the UK, well, a suburb of Manchester. And that's really about it for the intro. I'm 72. Retired, used to have wool shops, as we call them in the UK. Whether it's acrylic we sell or anything, they're usually called a wool shop in the UK. So I'd started off with my parents with one wool shop, and then we gradually progressed until we had 3 wool shops. I ran one, my dad ran another one, and my mum ran the other one. We had staff, of course. But then gradually in the 90s, you know, the sort of passion for handmade things, which is now all the rage, dropped off. It was all to do with the imports, the cheap sweaters, the cheap everything that came in from abroad. And there was no eBay, there was no internet. Well, as far as I was concerned, there wasn't. So I had no other choice of how to sell my things. So gradually we reduced from 3 to 2 to 1, because by this time both my parents were elderly and ill. I was going through a divorce and I needed my wage, full wage, to keep, you know, everything going at home, kind of thing, you know, the mortgage and stuff. The shop that we had was our own and we were paying a mortgage on that, and it just wasn't feasible, you know. So reluctantly I had to let the shop go. So that is how I started with my love for crochet and knitting. I mean, obviously with the shops I had a platform, you know, to sell everything, because I used to put things in the shop window, people passed by and they used to buy them. So I never really had to promote myself in that respect. I never had to, well, there wasn't, like I say, the internet wasn't as it is now. So I never really had to promote myself. I had a platform, which was great. So I was kind of spoiled, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, after I had to close the last shop and find myself some work, I think that I was so upset by what had happened that I actually didn't crochet or knit anything for quite a number of years. It just brought back too many memories, and I felt like a failure because I'd lost the businesses and things like that. But it wasn't my fault really, it was just the era in the 90s where people just stopped knitting, stopped crocheting, they stopped doing anything. I mean, now I could have, it would have been like 10 years further along the line if I could have continued. I would have had the luxury of like selling things on Etsy, on eBay, on things like that. I could have, you know, had an online web page, you know, with the shop and everything. But it's no good worrying about things that could have been, is it? It's just you have to put up with what was, and that's the way it was. So right, tag number 2 was who taught me. I mean, I have said all this before in previous videos, but just in case you're a newbie and you haven't seen any of this. Who taught me? It was kind of, I came from a very crafty family. I had 2 aunts that never got married. They lived at home with my grandma, who lived about 6 houses, 7 houses away from me, what we would call along the flags, you know, like there was no gardens, there was just the pavement. So my mum used to stick her head out the door like and watch me go in my grandma's, because there was no locked doors back in the day. You just opened the door and you walked in. And then similarly, when it was time for me to come home, my aunties would watch me go all the way home and let myself in my house. I used to spend a lot of the evenings there because my dad worked until late. He was a butcher and he used to work very late hours. And my mum used to try and pick up evening shifts, you know, at various places. She worked in cotton mills, she worked in cake places. So rather than leave me on my own, I mean, my brother was much older than me, so he could be left. My mum would just say, run along to grandma's, you see. So that's what I did. And my dad used to pick me up again if I hadn't come home by bedtime. Anyway, I'm digressing now, but I used to sit in the company of these aunts, and I had another aunt who was widowed who used to also come along and sit with us. And they were always embroidering, knitting, sewing, crocheting and making rugs, anything like that. So it was kind of like the done thing that as a child I would join in, you know. So I don't remember actually who taught me what. As far as knitting, embroidery, sewing and that is concerned. Crochet I did learn by myself, which was, I had really bad tonsils when I was young. They wouldn't take them out. My mother used to take me everywhere to get these tonsils took out. No, they wouldn't take them out. And so I used to have chronic tonsillitis, you know, absolutely, really, really bad. So one day I was upstairs in bed and I must have kept knocking on the floor, you know, because every time I wanted a drink. Because I was so ill, I was actually in bed. And my mum was in the shop downstairs, of course, fed up. We keep running up and down the stairs saying, what do you want, what do you want? And she come upstairs with a book on how to crochet. A crochet hook on a ball of wool and said, here, teach yourself that. And so for the first few times, I must admit, the hook and the wool went whizzing because it wouldn't go in. And then one day I just picked it up and it was like the penny just dropped. I just looked at it and thought, oh, that's how you do it. So that's how a crocheter was born. And the first thing I ever crocheted, believe it or not, was a sweater for myself. No pattern. I just did it. I followed a sweater that was a bought sweater that fitted me, laid it on the bed because I was still in bed, laid it on the bed and crocheted round it to fit it and managed to do all the decreases and everything. I don't know how I did it, but I did. Anyway, right, how I got started, I presume that they mean by this how I got started with business-wise, yeah? Well, what it was I'd brought home a certain amount of stock that I hadn't sold from the shop and put it up in the loft where it stayed. Gave lots and lots of it away because I wasn't knitting, I wasn't doing anything. In fact, boxes and boxes of knitting and crochet patterns. Remember, there was no eBay. Actually went thrown into the waste paper, into the tip, because I had no room for them, nothing. So a lot of it got wasted really, but that's just the way it was, isn't it? So it's no good crying over spilt milk. Anyway, how I got started was I came to retire at the age of 60. So after doing a few jobs around the house, because remember my back wasn't as bad as it got, I managed to do a bit of painting, a bit of decorating, a bit of this, and then when that ran out I sort of thought, what am I going to do now? So I raked out the patterns and what I got left, you know, and the needles and the hooks and that, and I thought I'm going to do something. And then I was on the pension and money was very tight, so people kept saying to me, why don't you sell what you make? You make lovely things, why don't you sell them? But it took me a couple of years actually, I think, or more to actually start the Etsy shop. Started it just trying to sell what I already had made that I hadn't worn, you know, because they were just stacking up. I was making them because I wanted to make them and yet I wasn't wearing them. So I decided that's how come I got started with the Etsy shop. The number 4 is my favourite makes. Well, my favourite makes are anything, as you know, that's boho, colourful, retro, gypsy-ish. But I have to be careful because I would just make all those kind of things with granny squares and things like that, but not everybody wants those kind of things. So I have to temper things into what is more what I think what people would like. Yeah. I also, when I first started my Etsy shop, it was all babies things, which I thought there would be a market for. But sadly I misjudged all that, and they didn't sell. I was advised at the time that everything was going to be traditional baby things were on the rise, because it was kind of royal baby time and different things, and I thought, well, I'll start off with the traditional white things, you know, all lacy, fine, little rosebuds on them, fancy little buttons and that, but no, nobody wanted them, so I soon gave up with that. But I was determined. I was still going on with my Etsy shop, determined. Urban Gypsy Crochet is my Etsy shop, in case you don't know. Right, photography. Now it says, how have you got into photography? Well, the answer is, I haven't really. It's just hit and miss. I use a proper camera, the same one I'm using to film the videos on, because I can't use my webcam, and I don't have a laptop, and Instagram and stuff like that. I've never got the hang of it. My tablet is just not liking Instagram whatsoever. So the easiest way for me to take photographs is actually when it's nice in Manchester, when it's not raining, is to go out onto my decking and take photographs outside. Props and background, I've really not got a lot of props and things because my things are big, so I don't really need a bunch of flowers by the side of it or anything to make some, you know, you selling a little hat or something small, you do need a nice background and everything like that. I mean, people have told me I should spend more time on taking my photographs, you know, put one of my dresses on, put my beads on it, but something, an outfit of mine, but yeah, I probably should spend more time on thinking about my photographs before I take them. But the only prop I really have is the decking, and I've got a cream, you know, one of those screens that you're supposed to stand behind if you're getting dressed or something like that. I've got one of those. But I would love a nicer place, a wall that isn't cluttered with stuff. Day 7, it says, my routine. Well, anybody who knows me knows I don't have a routine. I live by myself mostly, except I do have the doggy daycare when he's here, Gigi. So I don't know why I can't get myself into a routine. I should like have so many hours where I crochet, so many hours when I do housework. But I'm a scatterbrain. I'm a butterfly brain, as my dad used to call me. Or my dad used to call me Arthur, because he used to say you only do half a job. So he used to call me Arthur, my dad. I get sidetracked. I start off dusting and hoovering and I think, oh, that needs to go upstairs. So I take that upstairs. And then while I'm up there, I think, oh, I need to do this. And then an hour and a half later, I come back downstairs and think, oh, I was hoovering. You know the feeling. So I've got no routine. Now day 8, you see, I'm supposed to put photographs with all of these things, but obviously I'm doing it on a video, so I can't. Day 8 is flat lay. That means when you lay things flat to take photographs. I don't often use that method because the things I make are not really suitable to lie flat. You know, a big jumper doesn't look nice laid flat. It just looks shapeless and, you know. I might use it with a smaller thing, but I do tend to use, you know, sorry about Paris leaning over, if you can see her, by the way, she's come off a plinth, so she's looking a little bit drunk. So I don't really use a lot of flat lay. Day 9 was how it's made. Well, bear in mind this is Meet the Maker, and it's for people who do all kinds of things like sewing, painting, pottery and everything like that. Well, for me it's sort of obvious, isn't it, how it's made. I crochet it or occasionally I knit it. So it's made by me, so that's not. Day 10 was finding time to relax. Well, I do that so well, I don't think I need to find time to relax. But my way of relaxing is actually to have crochet in my fingers. I can't watch TV. Like yesterday I had to go to the hospital for, you know, a routine visit. I cannot sit without crocheting or doing something. And then of course you always attract everybody. Oh, my mum used to crochet. Oh, what are you making? Oh, this, oh, that. So it's a great way of breaking ice if you're a crafter. Take your crafting outdoors, sit in the park, you know, sit anywhere. You're bound to attract people who's going to talk to you. So if you're a bit lonely, you need friends, just go and sit in a nice park somewhere, and I guarantee you'll have somebody comes to talk to you or sit by the side of you. Now the day 11 was branding. That doesn't mean, you know, like a cow, like sticking a brand. Branding is the fact that I use my, oh, I don't know if you can see it, my Urban Gypsy Crochet logo. I do have labels that I do put on my crocheting before I send it out, but 9 times out of 10 I either forget to sew it on, or I'm making something like a shawl, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't think they would want, you know, a label stuck in the middle, because it affects the way you wear the shawl, doesn't it? You know, you don't want a label showing if you're wearing it this way around. I mean, where do you actually put the label? I mean, a sweater like this is easy, you sew it in the back of the neck, that's fine. I'm thinking of getting, you know, more swing labels, so that your brand's on as a swing label, and so if it's a shawl or something, you can thread it through, and then when the person gets it, they can sort of realise who it's from because the brand's on it, and then they can just cut the label off and wear the shawl as is. Because there's no easy way of doing, you know, I mean, I even got little buttons that say handmade by, but I mean, you don't know where to sew the button, do you? People don't want it on view, do they? Or, you know, it's not so bad if you're making a hat or something, you're putting the, yeah. So that's as far as they've got, except I seem to have missed day 12, day 13, because it's gone to day 14 now, which is dreams and plans. Well, as you know my dreams. My dreams would be to have a little concession inside a craft shop somewhere where my things are on view, and people could see them and buy them and see what they wanted to do. And that's the same with my plans. I don't have any plans to do craft fairs because, to be honest with you, I don't have a car. And I wouldn't like to have to ask somebody, you know, or make arrangements for somebody to take me to these craft fairs. And a lot of my things are big, and people, when they go to these craft fairs, are not preparing to buy themselves a sweater or something like that. So my plans really for the future are to try and diversify into something a bit smaller. I mean, I have been crocheting bags, as you know. They've not been lined. This is another one I've just finished. It's not been lined yet. It's made out of cotton, like a boho bag. It's just drying off at the moment. And another one I've made again. It's got hooked up on my blocking board. It's not been lined. It's still wet. Something like that. And as you know, I've done the granny square bag things that still want to be lined yet. That's what I've been concentrating on, really. I'm thinking of trying to diversify into something a little different that is smaller. I mean, it's kind of getting out of hat and cowl season, really, isn't it? It's supposed to be spring in a couple of weeks. Supposed to be getting warmer. So I tend to only think about garments. So I'm thinking about, like, you know, short sleeve things, little bolero things. That's what I'm thinking about. Because cowls and hats and things, I should have been doing those like winter, which is like a little later. Although I do have some boxes upstairs of things that I didn't put on Etsy because it wasn't the right season, and then I sort of forgot about them. And now I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I've got those cowls and all sorts of things upstairs in a big like container, which I need to sort out and get them put on. Also, my other plans are to do, I think I've mentioned it to you, to do like a show and tell, you know, put my things on a clothes rack and go through them all and show them, you know, to the camera. I mean, obviously I would love a catwalk, you know, where you have models walking along, but that takes far too much time to organise. You have to organise a room, you have to organise an audience and excuse me, and find models who are willing to wear them and walk up and down. I don't have that kind of money to get anything. I mean, professional models, professional photographs, they're all things that offer people who have more income, you know, or they're selling more things, so that generates the income that you can do that sort of thing. But that would be my dreams and that would be my plans. I don't think I'll manage the catwalk bit. Although Kelly did say she would wear a few of them for me if I was going to video them. But as you know, I'm useless at joining videos together, so that's not really a great idea. But I will do, now the weather's coming and it's not actually, I mean my decking is wet through at the moment, but it's not actually raining at the moment. I would love to put up my clothes rail, you know, and put some things on coat hangers, and to go along the rail showing you what it is. You know, I won't say what sizes they are because all the sizes are on the Etsy shop. I tend to, I'll hope to, put every size on those, you know what's that. I don't tend to say it's a US 16 or it's a UK 20. I don't tend to do that. I tend to just put the inches down, you know, of the bust, what length it is, what the arm length is, because I'm not au fait with, you know, the US sizes at all. I mean, sadly on my Etsy page, my postage is a little high to some people, but it's what it costs. I don't make a penny profit out of anything that I send by post. In fact, I usually make a bit of a loss because postage is so expensive these days. You know, so I just hope that people understand that that's why I have to charge, like, say, £12 for posting, you know, to send a cardigan, or if it's a heavy one, I have to say £15 for postage to go to the US. But even on that, I don't make 1 penny profit. I usually make a loss because I've usually underestimated. Because of things that happened in the past, I now always only send things either signed for or whatever, because I did have a few unfortunate experiences when I started off. People saying they hadn't received them, you know, that sort of thing. But since I started sending them signed for and that, there's not been any problems. I know it sounds unfortunate, but unfortunately some people do try it on, you know. When you're selling things, they say they haven't got them and they want the money back and they want this. And if you haven't sent them signed for, you've got no way of proving that they did receive them. So it is rather funny that since I started sending things signed for, nothing's gone missing, you know. That's all I'll say. Rest my case. Anyway, I think that's all I've got to say for Meet the Maker. I'll probably get back to a normal video, maybe later today. Maybe you'll see me wearing the same outfit. If you do, that'll be just to show you what I'm up to and what I'm doing. But this one is #MeetTheMaker. As I say, it should be on Instagram. I can't do Instagram. My tablet is just not cooperating. So, this is Jan, Urban Gypsy Crochet. Please do visit my Etsy shop. Saying goodbye.